Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope that you have had an amazing week this week. And so today I want to thank you first off for taking your time to watch, and because I know time is valuable. It's something that we cannot get back. We can make more money, we can't make more time. So I do appreciate you watching today. I'm excited to talk about something that affects many of us more than we probably want to admit, or maybe more than we actually realize, and that is emotional eating. And I'm going to talk about how to recognize if you're an emotional eater, but most importantly, I'm going to talk about how to overcome it if it's something that you find that you struggle with in your life. So I want you to grab a pen, grab a notebook, and take some notes, because you're going to want to walk away with some tools in order to address this if you find that this is something that you do. First off, we want to talk about what emotional eating is. Now, emotional eating is when you basically, at the core of emotional eating, it is when you go to food to comfort and to relieve any type of emotion. That can be comfort, it can be to manage stress or boredom or even happiness. I mean, it can be for a conglomerate of reasons that you may go to food other than you just need nourishment for your body. It doesn't really even look at the nourishment part of it. It's just looking to fill an emotional need that you're having at that moment. And I'm going to say this. I don't want you to hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that if you have a piece of cake at a party, that you throw this big party and you have a piece of cake, that's not emotional eating. What I am saying is, if you have this big party at your house and you have all these people over and you have planned for this party, and now you've had the party, all the guests are gone, and now you're in there in the kitchen and you're slaving over, cleaning all the dishes and taking out the trash and doing all the things that it takes to clean up from a party, and you see that cake over there and you're like, I sure would like to go sit on that couch and just get me a big old piece of that cake. That right there would be considered emotional eating. It's not necessarily about what you eat, but why you're eating it. Because I can just about guarantee you that you're probably not running to veggies and chicken when you have these emotional times. Not like, you come home from work and you're stressed and you're like, oh, I sure would love to crunch on some carrots. You're probably not saying that. It would be more like you were like, oh, I've had this stressful day. I've got to get me some chocolate to de-stress. Or I got to get some ice cream when I'm feeling sad. It's about getting that immediate relief. And it does. It will give you some immediate relief. But come 30 minutes, an hour later, what happens? Those feelings of guilt, shame, frustration, they hit you like you're playing dodgeball with the bully in gym class. I mean, hit you smack dab in the face. Those feelings that make you feel like complete poop come in after you've done that. Now, if you're not sure if you're an emotional eater, then it reminds me of like Jeff Foxworthy. You remember, you might be a redneck if, well, you might be an emotional eater if you eat when you're not physically hungry, and you find that you're eating for, out of the boredom, because you're just like, I'm bored, what can I do? Oh, let me just go get something to eat. I did that a lot. Or you're stressed, like I was talking about, at the end of the day, you come in and you're like, just give me some chips to unwind. Give me those chocolate chip cookies or those Oreos just to chill and take, the stress away for just a moment. Or if you use food as a reward. If you're rewarding yourself with food after a long day, or let me give you this story. So, first I'll say, for the reward, Don't reward yourself with food. You are not a dog. You don't need a treat to reward yourself. I'm going to tell you this story. So, did anybody go to the Weight Watcher weigh-ins? I did that for many years. I saw my mom do it, and then I did it. And so what happened with me is I would starve myself like all day, knowing that I had to get in line with those other ladies at 6 o'clock at that little church down the street. And I was always like nervous. I was like, I've tried really hard, but there have been days I have not done this perfect. So I was always like kind of nervous when I was standing in line or thinking about getting in line first. And then I'd get in line. And then while I'm watching everybody go up one, I see the lady. I'm like, okay, I'm 3. And so I'm pulling off my earrings. I'm pulling off my bracelets, taking off my glasses. I'm taking off everything I can to the point that where, just to the point to where I don't get sent out for indecent exposure, because I'm like, I'm stripping down everything. Anybody done that? Anybody relate to that? Stripping down before you get on that scale? Well, here it comes my turn. So I slip off my shoes and I'm like, okay. I just kind of close my eyes and kind of breathe out, so because breath, air weighs, right? So you have to like exhale before you get on there too. Before you step up on that scale, get all the breath out so it don't weigh, and you step on that scale, and then you look at the number and you're like, 3 pounds down. I did it this week. But then you think, next stop, Shoney's Buffet and some strawberry pie. Anybody ever did that? Anybody ever been there, or was it just me that wanted, okay, I've lost 3 pounds and I made it through this week. Got to reward myself with the food. And you might be an emotional eater if you're trying to eat to fill a void. Maybe you are missing or feel like you're lacking some things in your life, so you eat in order to fill those. Maybe you're lonely, or you're angry, or you're even happy. That food, it really starts to feel like it's a companion, like it's your best friend. I did that for so long. I felt like food, it wasn't going to run out on me. It was always going to be there. It was always, it was my constant companion. I could count on it to fill that need in the moment. But it was like, it was empty. It was completely empty. It didn't last. It didn't last. Because, like I said, those emotions come flooding in. You feel that horrible feeling of just like frustration, like, oh my gosh, I did this again. So, if that resonates with you, then I'm going to talk about and tell you how you can overcome that with some practical steps. You want some answers? You want some steps to go forward? Well, listen up. Now's the time you get that pen out. So, the first step is awareness. And so what you need to do is you need to keep a journal. Keep a journal of the times when you find yourself emotionally eating. When you find yourself wanting to go to the food out of those emotions. Write down those emotions. Write down what you're feeling. Write down, what you're thinking, the thoughts that are going through your head. Write down what your triggers and your patterns. Like I've said several times, coming home from work, your kids, or if you're a stay-at-home mom, your kids driving you batty, like, oh my gosh, if these kids would just get back to school. School's just started, so it made me think of that. But, just those triggers, those times when you've got these patterns that you do, write those things down. Collect that data so you can know and be prepared the next time it happens. And that goes to my second point, which is to find other ways to manage your emotions. You might want to take a walk. You might want to just get some quiet music, relaxing music on, turn it on, just relax, just do some deep breathing. Maybe pray. Go outside for just, a few minutes and just pray, or read your Bible, or do some stretches. Do a hobby. If you love to paint or draw or something like that, then do that. Do that during that time. And the third thing is talk to somebody. I mean, sometimes just sharing your struggles that you're going through, it can really take that load off of you. It can make you just feel free, because when we sit with those things inside of us, it's like harboring things in the dark. But once they're exposed to the light, because you may think you're the only one dealing with emotional eating. You may think nobody else deals with this, but they do. They do. If you share that with somebody, you know what you're liable to hear? Me too. Me too. And then you can say, well, how do you think we can do this together? What do you do when this happens to you? Get a shift in perspective, a change in, different solutions. But knowing that you're not alone is a tremendous, tremendous help. It really is. And also, make self-care a priority for you. Make sure that you're taking care of your emotional and your mental well-being. Get enough sleep, and do things that you enjoy. Do things you enjoy to relieve that mental pressure. It's kind of like taking, that builds up. It's like you go through your day, you have all these emotions that build up. Your boss might have said something to you that ticked you off, and so all this pressure is just building under the surface. And what's going to happen? It's going to pop. Like that valve is just going to, it's kind of like if you're boiling water to fix tea, that tea kettle, how, it starts bubbling, and then you hear that whistle. And that's what, it releases that valve. And then you run to the food. So you're not fighting this battle on your own. You're not. God is there. He will offer you guidance. He will offer you support. He will give you strength. Turn to Him in these times. Say, okay, Lord, how should I walk through this? I'm dealing with this. I have dealt with this for a long time. How can I change this in my life? Give me strategy for how to do this for me, because everybody is different. You are all very, very different. You're all completely different. And what's going to help one person may not help the other, but yet when we talk, there may be, well, I never saw it like that before. And it goes back to that strategy, that other perspective. But ask the Lord. He knows you better than you even know yourself. And in the Bible, we are reminded that we're worthy of love, and we're worthy of care, and not just from other people, but from yourself. Give yourself the love that you would extend to your friend. Do that. I'm excited for each of you to take these insights and apply them to your life. I want you to stay hopeful and stay committed, and remember that you are capable of change. Emotional eating is a learned behavior, and it can be unlearned as well. You have the strength inside of you. You have the strength inside you, within you, to do it. And you're never, never alone. And I want to invite you to come and join my free Facebook group, where you can join with other women who are walking this exact same road. You'll be supported, you'll be encouraged, and you'll get accountability that you need to see that transformation in your life that you've dreamed about. So until next week, I want to leave you with this quote. It says, and I couldn't find who said it, so I don't know. I'm just going to say a quote. So, our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. So use that. Remember that this week when you start paying attention to your emotional eating. If you give in, okay, but write it down. Let that be your data. Let that be your data for saying, okay, how can I do this better next time? So, till next week, have an amazing week. Have an amazing, amazing week. And I will see you next time. Bye.